Something about this channel that has always been a huge blessing to me is it's really a community in many ways. And maybe you don't feel that piece of it, but a lot of people do, and I definitely do as well. When people put in prayer requests, you can see other people will comment that they're praying too. There's people that I've seen their comments for 10 years, and I continue to see them, and they're always honest, if that makes sense. Like I never mind the criticism because I'm a teacher at heart. I believe in being wrong. I'm a scientist at heart. I was always a science teacher. I believe in errors. I believe if a human does it, there's going to be errors. So I don't mind criticism at all. But there's definitely 5 things that will get you kicked off of God, Family, and Guns. And kind of what I mean by kicked off is I just won't allow you to comment anymore. And it's not because you disagree with me, or even if you insult me, that doesn't bother me at all. I remember when I first started doing this, there were some really hateful comments, and it kind of got to me at first. I remember my wife saying, well, Mark, if you're going to do this, you have to just accept it, because it doesn't matter what you say, that is always going to be there. And you either accept it and move on, or you can't accept it and just don't do this. And I kind of opened my eyes in that moment and realized that, that's just going to happen. And I deep down knew that because, from the decades I was a teacher, every now and then I'd be involved in some sort of an assembly. And I remember just really putting my heart into things, trying to get everything organized, trying to get 700 kids together and then get this assembly going and have whatever it is that the assembly was going to do. And it was a huge success. And there was always a couple teachers that you'd be like, wasn't that great? And they'd be like, oh, that was terrible. This thing happened or this thing happened. So it just doesn't matter what you say or do. There's always going to be that element, and that does not bother me. So that is not one of them. But right now, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the 5 things that will definitely get you kicked off. Now, a couple of these things I give you kind of a couple chances at. It depends on how bad it is, that sort of thing. But generally speaking, if it keeps popping up that somebody's doing these things, they won't be doing it anymore on this channel. So let's just get right to it. Number 1. Cursing. Now, I make a big deal about cursing because you don't know how many people I have had come up to me or comment or message me saying the thing I like about your channel is I can watch it with my kids, and we know there's not going to be anything. This is literally why I started this channel, because I was watching YouTube videos back in the day and was very interested in gun content, and usually what I'd see is somebody just cursing or a half-naked woman shooting a machine gun. I'm thinking, this isn't helpful at all. And I just decided in that moment that there wasn't going to be none of that on my channel at all. And so you can watch this channel with your whole family, and you're definitely not going to get surprised in any way, shape, or form with cursing. And if you curse below, I mean, that's pretty minor, but if you keep cursing below, it's, like first I'll just delete your comment. That way, if people are reading the comments, they don't hit that. But after it keeps popping up, you definitely got to go. Number 2, threats. This one will get you the first time. I've had lots, believe it or not. So many that they don't even bother me anymore. Constantly, people threaten me. Now, I don't want to say constantly, but over the last 10 years, I'd say at least 100. There's a couple of them that were so severe that I ended up turning it over to the FBI because they're pretty brutal. So, for example, back when ISIS was doing their thing, they had a channel that was promoting them. They were trying to recruit through their YouTube channel, and that YouTube channel kept sending me messages that they were going to chop my head off and chop my family's head off and that sort of thing. So I reported them to YouTube, screenshot everything, sent it to the FBI. They were off YouTube, never heard anything back from the FBI. But that kind of thing, you can't do that for sure. My wife was the one that found that, horrified her. And I get it. Number 3, racism. Now, this one is something that it's very important that there not be racism. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you live. I don't care what your skin color is. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care who you love. I don't care none of that. I care that if you come to this channel, that you somehow find God because of a common love of a hobby of guns. I mean, that's ultimately the mission of this channel. And people say it all the time, that I come there for the guns and I get God. But the reality is that everybody can do that. So if you're being a racist or a hater to any sort of people group, you gotta go. Number one, I don't want you part of this community. But number two, there's never going to be a moment in time where anybody who believes anything for any reason and looks any way they want to look, or looks any way that they were born to look, ever feel like this is not a place where they can go and not see that nonsense. So racism will get you out quick. Number four, insulting the guests. Now, I kind of said earlier, I don't mind the insults, but when I'm interviewing somebody, they're not used to that. They didn't have a wife necessarily to warn them about that like I had. So, and I don't mean saying you disagree with the guest or you didn't like a comment, but if you're insulting them, I usually will delete those, and eventually I'll delete you, because I want those guests to feel welcome to return. Like, I don't want them to, because it's surprising how many times I've had a guest on and they, of course, are going to read the comments because they're like, oh, I'm on a YouTube channel. And they watch the video and then they go and read the comments. And you can tell it really bothers them when there's some hateful or insulting comments. They feel like they've done something wrong. I've gotten it, so, I've had that, I don't know, 20 times today alone. So it doesn't bother me at all. But it bothers them. So I want them to return, and I always want them to feel comfortable on this channel. So that's definitely one that's gonna, not at first, but if there's a repeat pattern of you just trolling the guests, you gotta go. And finally, number five, and in my opinion, the most important one, is cursing God. This one is not okay, and you will not do it on this channel. You don't have to believe in God. You could be angry at God. You can not like God. You could not believe in Him. You could be of a different religion. None of this will bother me. Just don't curse Him. If you look at the book of Job, he cursed his life, and he cursed everything that he had done. And he, of course, did not like the situation he was in, and he was angry, and he was sad. But at no point did he curse God. At no point. So I think it's okay to be all those things without cursing them. It'll definitely get you booted as well. So I just want to share that, because a lot of people every now and then they'll comment like, hey, why'd my comment got deleted? Or, look through one of these lists. If it fit in one of these, that's why. But if sometimes YouTube just deletes comments for some reason, is what I'm told by people. I don't, so that might not be me at all. It might be something within the Google world that I'm just not aware of. So there you go. There's the 5 things that get you kicked off God, Family, and Guns. Again, these are just there. I'm not trying to be a stickler in any way. If you disagree, don't like me, want to insult me, you can do that all day long. Just don't curse, don't threaten, don't be racist, don't insult the guests, and don't curse God. And outside that, man, put your comments below. I always appreciate seeing them. I know I don't get a respond to all of them, of course, because it's an ocean of them, but I do read them. So thanks for anything that you're putting in there. I always appreciate the insight. I always appreciate when you point out that I'm wrong. It happens, believe it or not. And again, if a human does it, there's going to be an error, and I am human. So any thoughts or insight on any of that, definitely put it below. Do want to take a moment and say, most people watch this channel, hey, they're not subscribers. Click that subscribe button. Greatly increases the algorithm and our ability to get these messages out. That link is below. But the most important part of the channel, we take prayer requests, so please don't ever, ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.